Pablo Emilio Escobar, also called the Boss, was the biggest drug trafficker the world has ever known. It was believed that Escobar was responsible for 80% of all the cocaine being smuggled all over the globe at the height of his power. Each day, the cocaine lord of Colombia smuggled 15 tons of cocaine into the United States, which was worth nearly $500 million. Yes, every single day. Pablo Escobar also had a ruthless army of serial killers to go along with his massive drug empire. These men killed for Pablo and were loyal to him, and to him alone. They were called sicarios. We will dig a bit deeper to know 3 of the most famous sicarios that Pablo Escobar had. They were Popeye, Lakika, and Blackie. Have you watched the hit Netflix series Narcos? If yes, then you are probably familiar with them already. Well, today we're going to take a look at where these cold-blooded murderers are, the story behind their obsession with killing people, and what happened to them after the death of their boss. Number 1. Popeye. The name Popeye might sound childish and cute, but Pablo's Popeye was far from it. His real name was Juan Jairo Velasquez. He was nicknamed Popeye due to his protruding jaw, which was fixed later through surgery. His story started in Aromal, Antioquia, Colombia. Before joining the cadet school of the National Police, he used to be part of the Colombian National Army. Sounds ironic, huh? A public protector to becoming a hitman. Juan Jairo Velasquez was part of the school of NCOS of the Colombian Navy and transferred to the National Police Academy, where he studied for only 1 semester. What did he study there for? Being efficient in shooting people? If that was the case, he really was a good learner because 257 people had been murdered by him. Well, that was based on his own confession. Do you believe it? There were countless kidnappings of not only common citizens but actually even the candidate for mayorship, Francisco Santos, and several other famous politicians during his time. We could just simply say that riches and influence won't get you away from Escobar's hitman's bullet. How many people do you think were actually arranged by Juan Jairo Velasquez? I have the answer. 3,000 murders. Yes, you heard me right. Murders which were successfully planned by the psychotic genius hitman. There was an interview where Juan Jairo Velasquez revealed his first kill when he was 17 years old. That first time was driven by a sense of righteousness as he killed a bus driver who was responsible for the death of a close friend's mother. Reminiscing how he got into Pablo's way, Juan revealed he was working with Pablo's mistress during that time. When she left the country, he decided to ask for a post from Pablo Escobar, and the rest was history. From 1992 to 2014, he served in prison and received a sentence of 30 years for murder, extortion, terrorism, and drug trafficking. He was released in 2014 only to be imprisoned again because of extortion. He had been in and out of the cell from then on. Now, do you wonder where Juan Jairo Velasquez is? Well, 6 feet under the ground after he was defeated by stomach cancer. The most vicious killer's reign is over. Number 2. Lakika. Another one of the world's most deadliest hitmen was Lakika, or known as Antonio Muñoz Mosquera during his younger years. He was considered by many as the most ruthless and violent out of all of the members of the sicarios. Andeni was discharged from his post at the Colombian army due to some minor theft charges, and from there found a way to Pablo Escobar's cartel, the Medellin cartel. He was nicknamed Lakika, which means fat girl, due to his resemblance with his aunt. Lakika had humble origins. His father was a policeman and his mother was an evangelist. Quite disturbing, right? Lakika made it easily to the top of cartel's ranks and torturing became his expertise. And so, Lakika became one of Pablo's most trusted hitmen. He was responsible for helping Pablo's army of killers. He ran a training camp for boys and girls to be expert killers for hire. What was unusual about him was that he would carve the word KK on his victims' bodies, a proof that he was the one responsible for the murder. There was a rumor that Lakika used to skin his victims alive or have them castrated. Lakika was hired for the 1989 bombing of Flight Avianca. Here, all of the 101 passengers on board were blown up in midair just because Escobar wanted a single person dead. It so happened that 2 American citizens were on board. Their death gave the US the reason to come after Lakika. He was the first person to be convicted under the 1956 federal law which criminalized bombing a civilian aircraft. and was also the first person to be tried under the 1986 terrorist statute, which allows the US justice system to put foreign criminals on trials in cases of American death. The US tried Lakika for 220 murders, and though the Colombian government never really pressed formal charges, he was tried to more than 440 murders. In 1994, he was caught, underwent a trial, found guilty and sentenced to 10 life sentences and 45 years to be served consecutively. If you wonder where Lakika has been over the years, he is still serving his sentence at the same prison up to this day. Number 3. Nelson Hernandez. Nelson Hernandez also goes by the name Blackie. He was born in Colombia and was nicknamed Blackie because of his African descent. He was one of Pablo Escobar's trusted associates for the longest time. He even served as a hitman and guard for the ruthless drug lord. Pablo trusted Nelson enough to let him hang out with him and feel comfortable knowing that they are right where you need to be. Assassinating and killing people was Nelson's specialty. He would do whatever Escobar asked of him without even thinking twice, which it turned out wasn't exactly the best approach. In Cali, Nelson kidnapped Felix Gallardo, Miguel Angel and Isabella Batista and brought them to Escobar's estate in Medellin under Escobar's orders. A few times he helped Pablo out of sticky situations by attacking Colombian judges and setting fire to all of the evidence they had against him. Pablo was really pulling the strings on Nelson, as he had him killed cartel boss Nico Moncada as well. Blackie was most important to Escobar when he carried out the 1993 Bogota shipping center bombing. He planted 220 pounds of C4 plastic explosive in a car parked downtown. As a result, over 20 people were left dead and almost 70 were wounded. While watching TV footage of the aftermath of the attacks, Blackie apologized to God for what he did. Lots of kids, women, and innocent people were killed, and it was then that Hernandez started sensing that maybe Escobar was going crazy. Blackie started to think about the safety of his wife, Maria Hernan, and their daughter, Manuela. The police arrested him. He was interrogated by the DEA and gave agents Javier Pena and Steve Murphy details on Juan Diego Diaz, which led to the search block raid on Monte Cassino. The raid was supervised by the DEA, where Escobar's allies were killed and Escobar went into hiding for over a month. No one knows exactly where Blackie is nowadays, but it was assumed that he is alive and well under the Witness Protection Program. As for Juan Jairo Velasquez, Andeni Munoz Mosquera, and Nelson Hernandez, who had served a famous ruthless man and had been known by the world as cold-blooded murderers, their lives and stories would live forever to be remembered as the deadliest hitmen of Pablo Escobar, even after the death of the boss. What do you think of our video today? Let us know your thoughts.